Good evening, Wizards. Hope you're all having a good start to the week so far, and actually, hopefully, even a little bit of a profitable week thanks to the calls given in the Telegram, Twitter, and of course in the analysis videos over the past few days. We have already seen the first segment of our move fulfilled. So, again, just to kickstart this off, not too long of an analysis or an analytical breakdown, but more of a recap and an update, just to ensure you're all still moving in synchronization with my analysis, the charts, and of course the potentiality for a huge upside explosion. So, using the likes of the 0.30 spike yesterday on XRP, there was actually a very precise entry that I'll try and find on Twitter in a second. And again, for BTC, we did in fact tap that $9,100 region precisely as well. So many of you had buy orders set there in expectation of what could be a much larger move to come. So for those of you who have entered, again, you know the drill. If you've entered here, for example, just to give you another little clear and concise breakdown, ignore the upside target for now, but let's just say your entry was around this region. I would already have stop losses above break even, just below these wicks here. And that's because if price does like to, or even attempt to break lower, you can very easily close out in a profit already from that move and then capture an even better entry. So just showing you very simple routine and strategy. When you do catch these precise entries that I do give you from time to time, when they do come through, again, stop loss just below this region here where the wicks are, you would still be in profit, closed out, and then you can re-enter better if it does fall lower. Looking at XRP to actually kickstart this one, as you can see, this trend line is our holy Bible right now. This is where we are breaking through, rejecting, but we are failing to close below, and this is a very good sign. However, in saying that, if I was to even extend this out from wick to wick, overall, it doesn't feel too much of an overall good picture right now. So for myself personally, with the XRP long position that was running, remember I did say 285, the stop loss was below there, and I am still leaving it around here just to be safe. If you did enter here, I didn't even enter here myself, to be honest with you, as I did not accommodate for this. I wasn't ready. I was hoping to see that little push to the 78.6 for an entry. But overall, what many of you have shown me, and if I can just find that somewhere, there was a great entry earlier from one of you guys. It was, to be honest with you, I've never seen such a precise entry off that call before. I must say well done to the individual who posted it. I've forgotten the name. But credit due where credit due, that was a phenomenal entry to actually capture. And again, just showing proof that the analysis does work, it does come through. And when you do follow the principles with absolute precision, guys, you can get some incredible entries on these trades and really bolster your profits as well. That's one of the most important things to actually take into consideration. So can't seem to find this over here, no worries, we will get to that shortly anyway. But looking at this region over here, so as you can see from the daily time frame in particular as well, if I was to get that trend line out the way, XRP is looking incredibly bullish. Now whilst I am aware of these downside possibilities, I would be lying if I didn't say this isn't already looking ripe to absolutely explode to the upside. So we have our first Fibonacci target there of 35 cents and of course 37 cents there as well. Now that we've fulfilled the 30 cents region and we're seeing these daily candles just tapping these levels, the price action could not really be much clearer. So by all means necessary for now, I'm only giving these downsides as a precaution in terms of around 29.5 cents, even tapping into this region here. Overall, this zone is a crucial region for wick fishing and stop hunting, but I am more than confident now that XRP, look at this break, clean break, retest, yesterday's spike technically fulfilled that movement as well. We are now gearing up for what should be an incredibly bullish week ahead. Now, looking at these upside targets, very simple, just covering over what was covered yesterday. First target is not only the Fibonacci region around here, the extension of 35 cents at the 0.27, we've also got the trend line, which could be our first region to consider any potentiality of a pullback. Now, should this level actually breach, I do believe even upon touching this level, we'll be pulling back, rejecting around 33.5 cents before absolutely exploding towards 37 cents. But overall, just to make this very clear and simple, I'm expecting this region here. And then I'm expecting, even upon a breakout, if we do go straight to this level or not, even if it's a little break here, I do believe that'll be a simple rejection of this trend line around this zone, and then absolutely flying towards 38 cents, which is our, I guess you could say, technically our final target before we recalculate and then preempt what price could do next. But you do have a huge movement ahead of you here. And in terms of pips, if let's just say you did enter even from here, or from down there. If I was to add any more positions, I would like to see a little tap around the fib again, or even down to this level. But let's just say you entered there, or even from here. You're looking at your first target of around 520 pips, give or take. Extending this up to here, you're looking at almost 700 pips off a single move like this. So extending the stop loss to here, you would already be risk-free on this specific trade. If not, and you're a bit more cautious like me, and you are waiting for potentially even another move, then by all means you're still looking at a huge risk to reward. You can slowly increment this up, by the way. I am just a bit cautious of this trend line here, as you can see, just in case it does something outrageous and taps like 0.285. I would like to make sure I'm a bit well hedged for that. But if you are in profit and you caught a phenomenal entry around these regions, it would be wise, even from here, to be willing to accept a little bit of a loss by placing your stop loss just below this wick. And in the event price does actually slam all the way down, you can be closed out in a little bit of a loss, or even break even, depending on how you're doing this, and then capturing a better entry. But overall, I think we're looking very good now to see that breakout. So little small intraday level as well to take into consideration. That's almost going to break. If this just snaps through, I'll be looking at retests as well, where if we do see a breakout and a pullback to this level, then by all means I'll be looking at retests and bang, a further move higher. So this is a very simplistic setup, and to be honest with you, this, you've probably noticed there hasn't been much of a rush to enter on this. We've been really weighing out and waiting for those final confirmations, and this is arguably, even for myself, been one of the strongest ways of testing my patience, and again telling you guys to just sit back and control and let the market do what it has to do. This is why we have not prematurely entered over the past week, because we've really been waiting for that final little tap lower, as unrealistic as it may have seemed many times. Again, with yesterday's move, that was beautiful, just taps that zone and exploded to the upside. So again, just waiting that final confirmation. But for me overall, guys, we are gearing up for what could be a phenomenal movement to the upside very soon. So again, just a little update. From a 1 hour perspective, we're looking at this break over here now. Could even be considering longs from this region as well, as we've technically broken through. I'll make that a little bit more precise. You've technically broken through. We're holding this region, and again, you can anticipate what could be a very sharp upside movement. So looking at this here, if you was to draw that from wick to wick using the 4 hour, which is more crucial, and then going down to the 1 hour, you can see a bit of precision, both levels tapped. Breakout, retest for me. That's if you've missed the boat. If not, you can either enter from here with a wide stop loss just below this wick. But do be cautious as always of this region. Now that it's been tapped and pulled higher, price could very well swing down again and try and wipe out this low, and upon failing, we will obviously propel higher even faster. So just a little warning on this end, just to let you know what to prepare for. But overall right now, everything is working phenomenally well. So let that there, nice little setup for you. Everything remains the same. Not a single thing on this chart has changed. And again, you would have noticed how clear and concise these key levels actually are. There's not much to actually show you on the charts in terms of adding all these fancy indicators. You may have even noticed I've stripped clean my moving averages and all sorts. This is just pure clean price action. And looking at where this lines up, couldn't be more precise with the breakout region of prior support around 37 to 38 cents. I see this being a huge upside movement to follow. Going over to BTC, again, almost precisely at that $9,100 region. Now, whilst I am still a bit hesitant of $9,000 and $8,900, and of course, this trend line here, that almost has fulfilled, that still counts. Dragging this from body to body to extend this a bit further. My only real concern on this, and to be honest with you, I am almost willing to take that risk now. I'd much rather go for XRP on this setup, which is why I entered this trade, versus buying BTC. So XRP is my personal favorite for this, but in saying that, BTC is looking pretty positive now, but we are doing exactly as stated, from 9,580 up to 9,600, pretty much where we closed. I did say there would be some wick fishing attempts before snapping lower. So seeing that spike, the precision on $9,100 just there, key region of manipulation. Buy orders were set there to instantaneously trigger as price was manipulated lower. That's why I said just wait for this movement. It seems fishy. Bang, taps that region precisely. So the way it drove up from precisely $9,100, guys, institutional buy orders and manipulation. I know people can often blame manipulation for anything that goes against them, but again, nothing has been done wrong. There hasn't been any losing trades. I'm literally just stating where very obvious signs of manipulation are. So always look, whenever you see price just tap a very precise level like this. As you can see, precisely $10,200 on the dot, and it pulls back down. They are preempted manipulative levels, and in this instance here, we may see a huge rocket ship higher. So this is just something I wanted to mention as well. Look at using this Fibonacci region, which could still gear us up, whilst we may see an upside explosion when you look at the precision of these Fibonacci levels here, guys. So A, B, just fell short of that level, still kind of counts, but I do believe this explosion to the upside could still fulfill this region and gear us up for a further movement lower. So if you have caught these long positions already, we do need to be cautious of these levels first, as it could be trickery to take us straight down lower, to tap this trend line one last time, wipe out these lows, and then we'll be going in for a retest lower, and this could then actually invalidate the upside theory. So it is on the back of my mind, it's just something I'm being cautious of, but we can more than easily and happily profit from all of these opportunities regardless. BTC for now, if you bought from that region, then my goodness, you're already looking at a pretty good setup. And the same applies. Let's just say it tapped your region and you've gone up to here. That's 836 pips off a single movement from there alone. Even if we do just catch it up to this movement, that's 660 pips, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now consider that your stop loss from this entry, even if you put it here, you would have been looking at around 4 times your money off a single trade like this. With stop losses now in profit around this region, then you are more than safe for a pullback. So do just be cautious of an upside movement. We do have a very crucial and strong fib set up here as well. And again, 8,800 and the golden number of 8,400 now aligns ever so perfectly on the Fibonacci level as well. So it's a very slow and tedious process, but it is actually fulfilling its way here closer. And I do believe of the way this level's holding as well. Surprise breakout could trick many people into buying upon a breakout, only for us to slam down one final time, and from there we will really see what goes on. And in saying that, if you look at this here as well, if you do see that spike up to there, this could really be fulfilling this movement. So until this trend line's broken and retested around 9,500, I'm not too confident just yet, and I do believe there could be some wick fishing. But overall, enjoy the trade for the time being and just be cautious of those stop losses. Same goes for this, although XRP personally, guys, I do think has a little bit more potential to just absolutely blow through the roof. The targets align much larger, and BTC, as you can see, there isn't really a large Fibonacci extension in play on this right now. So if you look at this here, we're floating back and forth around this region. It is holding quite nicely, granted, I must give it that. From a daily candle perspective though, I mean, even if I drag this a bit lower to the body, yeah, it does kind of make sense, and it does align quite nicely there actually, so we can actually consider that a valid fib now that I've done the wick to body movement. So taking that into consideration, we do need to be cautious of any wick fishing over here, but overall I personally would just like to see a nice clean break above, a retest potentially around this region here, confirm it's not a Fibonacci retest, and then you can continue moving lower. But overall, the current momentum for now for me is around these Fibonacci regions. So a nice breach higher, even if it is around $300 to $400, that's a pretty phenomenal move for the time being. If you consider it from here, then you are looking at almost $1,000 movement off that region alone, which obviously translates to 1,000 pips. So very simple stuff for the time being. This for me, God, this looks beautiful. So just watching how this reacts around this region on an intraday level, all of this manipulation and volatility around these key levels. So just stay monitoring the 1 hour and 4 hour, which is the most crucial for us right now. But using historical price action as well, as you can see, there is normally a large spike, a little bit of a rally, an extra push lower, just to drive price down. And I do believe no matter what happens, we could actually be seeing a drive to that 29 cents region, which is where I really want those golden entries. So by all means, you can enter prematurely, which isn't really prematurely anymore, as you have seen a downside spike. But knowing the potential risks, this trend line here for me over around this region, if that does come through, then you will have an almost zero drawdown trade. So all of this stuff has to be taken into consideration. But overall, we are gearing up for the 37 to 38 cents region coming through. And then from there, once that breaks out, you will see a pullback of this trend line here, potentially touching around 0.338. Then guys, imagine that. This is where things really get interesting, because as you know, the overall long-term bias, I think on a daily, that's a very accurate trend line. So I'll leave that there for now from wick to wick. So on a 4 hour perspective, that's pretty accurate as well. So let's just show and explain what will happen upon a breakout. This is the overall goal of this trade. We rip through this level and start tapping our final fib target. We come back and test around these regions anywhere down to around this level here. let's just say, and personally, if we actually spike towards 38 cents, should be around 38 to 39 cents, give or take. So could be seeing a nice breach back into this region here. We'll extend that higher to this zone. Fibonacci should push, and then from there we're retesting, we're gearing up. And if we do a bit of futuristic analysis over here from, let's say this pushed even higher to around here, or even up to around the 38% region, we could be looking at pullbacks to test this region before blowing higher. So overall, we're painting a pretty solid picture of what could be happening upon a breakout, and it is looking to unfold right now. As you can see, normally when you're driving up higher, it creates a counter trend line, which can be quite tricky for many people as they believe it's just an upside rally. But what actually happened, if I draw this more precisely, is price broke through, rejected, and slammed lower. Fortunately, on this aspect, we're actually sloping downwards instead, so it's more likely you will be seeing a breakout and a retest and an explosion higher versus actually inclining like this. So for the time being, it's making very good sense to me. Everything's coming through. And again, I don't want to go too much further in depth because I don't want to confuse you guys. The analysis has come through so crisp and so precise that it would be a bit foolish of me to go too much in depth and actually confuse you and actually end up, you end up doing something different instead. But just you always use the wicks to wicks on the dailies and then refine these a bit more on the 4 hour. As you can see, that doesn't make too much sense now, but at the same time, when you go to the daily, you can see that absolute precision over there as well. So take all of this into consideration. We're looking at breakout highs and retests to confirm the $11,600 and $12,400 region. But for me, for the time being, we're resting below this level still. We've swiped lower. This leaves a huge unfulfilled region for me because we haven't actually, a bit like this where we rocketed and came higher. As you can see, whenever you see these huge rejections, price normally has a short-term movement. It pulls back and it goes back to this region here before actually rocketing higher. So just be vigilant. Stop losses have to accommodate for this. But overall, we are gearing up for some nice upside movement, I believe. And looking at this here now, if you start closing this daily back above the likes of 9,500 to 9,600, we could be getting ready for that little push to the $10,000 region yet again. So for now, guys, let's be patient. Take these fibs into consideration. As you can see, the alignments here, 11,800, 11,300 to 200 as well. It's looking great. It's looking good. And I'm looking forward to how this week will progress. So for now, stay vigilant, keep those stop losses secure, and let's see what happens by the end of day.